Squidward Q, Tentacles doesn't just hate his job, he's trapped in it. Think about it, this poor squid has been stuck behind the same cash register for over 20 years, taking orders from fish who can't even count change, while SpongeBob screams in his ear like a broken alarm clock. He's quit more times than we can count, but somehow, he always ends up back at the Krusty Krab. Coincidence? Not a chance. What if I told you Squidward isn't just miserable because he's lazy, or unlucky, or untalented? What if the truth is way darker? That Mr. Krabs has been sabotaging Squidward's entire life, making sure he can never escape. From failed dreams to rigged opportunities, today we're exposing the disturbing cycle that keeps Squidward chained to the Krusty Krab. And trust me, once you see the pattern, you'll never look at SpongeBob the same way again. Squidward's endless quitting. Squidward quitting his job isn't some rare, shocking event. It's practically a Bikini Bottom holiday at this point. Every other season, he storms out of the Krusty Krab like he's finally free, only to crawl back a few scenes later with the same energy as a teenager who swears they're running away but only makes it to the end of the block. Let's run through his greatest hits. Big Pink Loser. Squidward quits when Patrick gets hired. For about 3 glorious minutes, he's actually happy. He's reading a newspaper, drinking tea, pretending he's sophisticated, but then reality hits. No job, no money, no life. So, what does he do? Goes right back like someone who swears they'll never text their ex again, until Friday night rolls around. Bossy Boots Pearl turns the Krusty Krab into her own mall boutique, and Squidward is so done he quits on the spot. But when Pearl's gone, who's back behind the register? Yep, Mr. Tentacles himself, acting like none of it happened. Krusty towers. He quits just to become a guest at the restaurant. That's not even rebellion. That's petty revenge. Imagine hating your boss so much you'd rather pay to stay at the company hotel than clock in for another shift. Chum for chum bucket. The one time Squidward actually lands another job. He leaves the Krusty Krab and gets hired at the Chum Bucket, which is basically like quitting Starbucks to work at a gas station that doesn't even sell coffee. Spoiler, it doesn't last, and it doesn't end there. He quits in Goodbye Krabby Patty, the play's the thing. Boss for a day, can you spare a dime? It's basically a running gag. The man has walked out of the Krusty Krab more times than SpongeBob has said, "I'm ready," and that's saying something. But here's the catch. No matter how many times he leaves, he always comes back. Sometimes it's because he can't find a new job, sometimes because SpongeBob drags him back into the chaos, and sometimes because Mr. Krabs manipulates him. But the pattern never changes. It's almost like Squidward isn't just quitting a job. He's trying to escape a prison. The problem with Squidward. Now, before we start blaming Mr. Krabs for everything, let's be honest. Squidward isn't exactly Employee of the Month material. The man has the energy of a DMV worker on their last shift before retirement. Customers walk in, and instead of "Welcome to the Krusty Krab," they get a death stare so intense it should come with a warning label. And the crazy part? He's been there for 17 years. 17 years behind the same greasy register with nothing to show for it except chronic back pain and a clarinet that sounds like a dying goose. Meanwhile, SpongeBob, who wasn't even born when Squidward started, has job offers flying at him the second he gets fired. SpongeBob gets let go, and within 5 minutes, he's working at 5 different places. Squidward quits, and suddenly he's homeless, eating canned bread like it's fine dining. So, what gives? Why does SpongeBob succeed instantly while Squidward can't land a single gig outside the Krusty Krab? Here's the thing. Squidward does try sometimes. He applies for jobs, he chases his music career, he even moves to Squidville to start fresh, and every single time it blows up in his face. Not because he's always bad at what he does, but because everyone hates him for being, well, Squidward. It's almost like the universe itself is conspiring against him. And maybe it is, because when you look closer, there's a disturbing pattern. Every time Squidward shows the slightest chance of escaping, someone pulls the rug out from under him. And 9 times out of 10, that someone is wearing a cheap pair of claws and a sailor's uniform. Why the Krusty Krab keeps him? So, why does Mr. Krabs keep Squidward around in the first place? It's not like Squidward brings joy to customers. If anything, he scares half of them off before they even order. But here's the dirty truth. Squidward is the perfect employee for a boss like Mr. Krabs. Reason number 1, he's cheap. Squidward works for pennies. Literal pennies. Other people demand raises, promotions, or, God forbid, basic respect. Squidward? He'll stand there miserable, collecting whatever crumbs Krabs tosses him because he knows he has nowhere else to go. That's not an employee. That's a corporate dream. Reason number 2. Everyone else fails harder. Think about the replacements Krabs has tried. Patrick once worked the register, but he was literally paying Mr. Krabs $50 an hour just to be there. That's not a job, that's a scam. Larry the Lobster tried and immediately tried to turn the Krusty Krab into a gym smoothie bar. Mrs. Puff filled in for a day, then ran for her life. Even Karen the supercomputer worked for free at one point, and Krabs still didn't replace Squidward. That tells you everything. You could give Krabs free labor, and he'd still rather keep Squidward because at least Squidward doesn't crash the place every 5 minutes. He's stable, he's predictable, and most importantly, he's exploitable. But here's the kicker. It's not just about money. Krabs doesn't just keep Squidward around, he makes sure Squidward can't leave. Every time Squidward tries to chase something better, Krabs finds a way to drag him back. Whether it's guilt, manipulation, or straight-up sabotage, Krabs has built a system where Squidward is permanently trapped behind that register. And if you think that sounds extreme, wait until you see how far Krabs goes to crush Squidward's dreams outside of work. Krabs' dark sabotage. Alright, buckle up, because this is where things go from bad boss to evil mastermind. It's not just that Mr. Krabs underpays Squidward, it's not just that he exploits him. No, the real conspiracy here is that Krabs has been sabotaging Squidward's entire career outside of the Krusty Krab. Think about it. Every time Squidward gets close to chasing his dream, something just happens to ruin it. And more often than not, Krabs is right there in the middle of it. In Culture Shock, Squidward finally gets the chance to perform on stage. What does Krabs do? He commercializes the hate. People boo Squidward, throw food at him, and Krabs turns it into free entertainment for the restaurant. Squidward's big moment, reduced to a cheap gag for profit. In the Play's the Thing, Squidward is over the moon because his play is going to be produced. What happens? Krabs shuts it down. Not because it was bad, but because it wasn't profitable. Imagine finally getting Broadway to notice you, and then your boss cancels it because the snack bar sales wouldn't cover costs. Brutal. In Hello, Bikini Bottom, Squidward and SpongeBob get scouted as a musical duo by a legit band manager. This is his chance. This could have been the escape. But who crashes the party? Mr. Krabs, forcing himself in as their manager, leeching off their earnings, and ultimately tanking the whole thing. Squidward's first real shot at fame gone. And let's not forget Krabs literally saying things like, "If you find that clarinet, bring it to me so I can smash it to pieces." That's not just rude, that's the equivalent of your boss taking your college degree and setting it on fire so you can never leave. Here's the cold reality. Krabs doesn't just want Squidward as an employee, he wants to make sure Squidward can never escape. Because the second Squidward becomes successful in art, music, or literally anything else, Krabs loses his perfect, cheap, miserable cashier. It's not incompetence holding Squidward back, it's sabotage. Squidward's dreams and failures. For all his bitterness, Squidward is not some soulless cashier robot. Underneath that giant nose and permanent scowl, he actually has dreams. Big ones. He wants to be a world-class clarinet player, an artist, a dancer. Basically, anything other than a fry cook sidekick. And sometimes, believe it or not, he actually succeeds. In Band Geeks, Squidward leads one of the greatest performances in cartoon history. The man gets an entire stadium on its feet. For once, he's not the joke, he's the star. In Suction Cup Symphony and Best Day Ever, he pulls off genuinely impressive performances. For a brief, shining moment, Squidward is good. But here's the tragedy. It never lasts. Because in almost every other episode, Squidward's talents crash and burn. In I Love Dancing, Choir Boys, and Are You Happy Now, he's booed, humiliated, or outright ignored. Not because he's always bad, but because he's Squidward. That's the twisted truth. People in Bikini Bottom don't hate his art, they hate him. When SpongeBob does the exact same thing, everyone cheers. When Squidward does it, they throw tomatoes. It's not about talent, it's about reputation. He could play a perfect solo and they'd still boo because it came out of Squidward's clarinet. And here's where it gets darker. Squidward himself knows this. Every time he gets a small win, it's followed by crushing rejection. The audience laughs at him, or Mr. Krabs shuts him down, or SpongeBob accidentally overshadows him. The cycle repeats until Squidward is too beaten down to keep trying. So what happens? He goes crawling back to the Krusty Krab because no matter how much he hates it, it's the one place that will always take him back. And if that sounds depressing, buckle up. Because when you put it all together, you realize Squidward is stuck in a loop he can never escape, the trap cycle. At this point, Squidward's life is less of a career path and more of a hamster wheel. He's running, sweating, screaming, but he's not going anywhere. And the scariest part? It's a cycle. A rigged, never-ending cycle that he can't escape. Here's how it goes, step by step. 1. The breaking point. Squidward finally snaps. Maybe SpongeBob's laughter gets too loud, maybe Mr. Krabs is being extra cheap. Maybe someone breathes near the cash register. Whatever it is, Squidward slams his hat on the counter and quits. Big, dramatic moment. Cue audience applause. 2. The dream chase. Free at last. He decides to pursue his real passions. Art, music, dance, anything that doesn't involve paper hats and soggy fries. For about 5 minutes, he actually believes in himself. 3. The reality check. The world reminds Squidward that nobody likes Squidward. His art gets mocked, his clarinet solos bomb, and somehow SpongeBob gets praised for doing the same thing 10 minutes later. It's not fair, but it's the pattern. 4. The collapse. Squidward runs out of money, hope, or both. Suddenly, canned bread starts looking like a luxury meal, and sleeping under SpongeBob's pineapple seems like a solid housing option. 5. The crawl back. Defeated and desperate, he drags himself back to the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs, knowing he'll work for basically nothing, gladly takes him back. SpongeBob celebrates, Squidward groans, and the cycle resets. And this isn't just a theory. It's the only explanation for why Squidward keeps going back to a job he openly despises. It's not that he loves the Krusty Krab. It's not that he's too comfortable to leave. No, he literally has no other option. The bleak future. If you thought Squidward's present was depressing, wait until you see his future, because believe it or not, SpongeBob actually gives us the answer. In Season 14, there's an episode where Plankton travels 2,000 years into the future, and what does Karen, the computer wife, reveal? Squidward did become a famous musician. Huge success, everyone finally respected him. His clarinet career actually took off, but only after he died. Yep. The universe looked at Squidward and said, you know what? You don't get to be appreciated while you're alive. We're going full starving artist on you. He suffered his entire life flipping Krabby Patties and dealing with SpongeBob's nonsense, only for history books to go, oh yeah, this guy was actually a genius. It's basically the Vincent van Gogh treatment, except instead of cutting off an ear, Squidward just lost his soul to minimum wage. And that's the real kicker. Squidward does achieve his dream, but only once it's too late to matter. While he was alive, Krabs exploited him, SpongeBob annoyed him, and the rest of Bikini Bottom laughed at him. His entire life was a loop of humiliation and failure. His success came when he couldn't even enjoy it, so in the end, Squidward never really hated his job. He hated the trap. Every time he quit, the world made sure he failed. Every time he dreamed, someone, usually Mr. Krabs, made sure those dreams went up in smoke, and every time he thought he might finally escape, he wound up right back behind that crusty cash register, slouched over like it was a life sentence. Squidward isn't just the grumpy neighbor or the cranky cashier, he's the cautionary tale. He's what happens when toxic bosses, bad luck, and a cruel universe all team up to crush someone's potential. SpongeBob gets the glory, mister. Krabs gets the money, and Squidward, he gets canned bread and eternal misery, and the most depressing part? History proves he was talented all along. The world just refused to see it until it was too late. So the next time you watch SpongeBob, ask yourself, is Squidward really the loser? Or is he the most relatable character of them all? Because deep down, we're all one bad day away from realizing we're Squidward.